The rule of thumb is in criminal law, you get to meet you run into people at their best who are not very good people. In family law, you run into very good people who are not at their best.
That makes
Oh,
sense.
yeah. So I always presume I'm dealing with very good people, and you're not in the best place right now. So we'll see if we can get you through it with what the law says. But in any event, in the matter of Coleman versus Wright, I guess, Mr. Coleman, we are at the point of having you cross-examined. So Tyler Coleman, please raise your right hand. Do you swear or affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth in giving testimony? Now that you've had the explanation of what all that means. And Miss Wright, you have the right to cross-examine him at this point. So please proceed.
Before we begin, I've got a few preliminary matters still.
Oh, okay. I apologize. I didn't realize. I should have asked.
3 of them. First one is, I call it the prophylactic warning. The Supreme Court used that word in Gideon versus Wainwright. They're requiring 3
Wow, we're going back. Okay.
It's been a while.
Yeah.
I would like to ask you, Mr. Referee, to give a prophylactic warning to both parties that children are not to be in the room. I understand that.
Oh.
I'm told that Savannah was part of the Zoom hearing last time, and I don't say this to try to make a point in our substantive case, only to say we want both parents to make sure that no children are in the room, whether it's Savannah or any other person under 18, not able to hear or
yeah, no. And nobody that you're calling as witnesses should be in the room either.
Right.
As always, you're more than welcome to bring people in the courtroom as friends, as observers. But if they are to testify, they're not in the courtroom till they testify. Right. No child is ever allowed in the courtroom. And I do have to meet with Savannah yet. I don't believe I've done so.
Correct? I think you did on Zoom.
Did I?
For a brief, I think it was just for a brief second, so I wasn't sure if we were gonna.
Okay, no, it would be then if I've met with her, I've met with her. Forgive me, I do so many of these things that sometimes they blend, and I didn't think I'd met with her. Oh no, they're in my notes. Never mind, they're right to my left. They're under my never mind. Forget it. I did meet with Savannah.
Nope, I did her hair while we were waiting to start, and now she's up in her room. So
okay, just understand. You know, that she should not be in the room. She should not be hearing part of these proceedings. Okay.
Yes, yeah.
All right. Yes, sir.
We did not get a witness list from Ms. Wright. That was required by the court. We turned one in several days before the first hearing. So I don't believe, other than the party, I don't believe there are any witnesses for the other side that should be.
I'm going to reserve on that comment until I find out if she has any witnesses to call, and then we'll go through each witness individually. Because maybe sometimes there are witnesses that I really do want to hear from that the court needs for information. But your objection will be reserved for each witness.
Thank you.
Because I've had a couple of hearings recently that I had to turn around and call witnesses because I didn't get enough from the parties. And I had to turn around and say, thanks to your testimony, your own testimony, I need to hear from this witness. Okay. So, and yeah, it was confirmed at a training over a month and a half ago that the court does have the right to call its own witnesses. And for that specific purpose. Because I do have a list of questions that I have running. So far, you guys have been pretty good. You've answered all the ones. I write the question I have, and then I put a little checkbox. And if it's answered, I check it off and I don't ask it. Otherwise, I will be asking my own questions sometimes as well. All right. All right. Yes.
So I guess just my, not knowing how this whole procedure worked, I guess today I was under the impression that Tyler still had some testimony to give.
He still has some testimony, and then the case is turned over to you to present your witnesses.
Okay. So the other witness, like the other evidence, like the I know there was things that he hasn't gone over yet on the evidence.
He presents. Sometimes not all exhibits are used.
Okay. All right.
I had a case about 7 or 8 months ago that they presented the court with 18 proposed exhibits. They only entered 4. I didn't look at the other 14. If it's not entered, I don't look at it.
All right.
Okay. So far there have been 7 exhibits entered. Those are the only 7 the court will consider.
Okay.
At this time. There's still time. There's still time to enter more exhibits. So,
Okay. And once it's turned over, like where I get to do my
and that
own
that
testimony,
will be
can I-
that will be after you are done cross-examining Mr. Coleman.
Okay. All right.
And Mr. Chadwick's objections will be preserved because you were supposed to turn over any exhibits 7 days before this trial began. So he has the right to object to any of them being entered.
Back like today's trial or the one that started?
Be the very, very first trial.
Right. And I guess that I
Years.
did.
Yeah. So that's why his objection is preserved with my notation that if it's something that I deem necessary for me to see.
Okay. All right.
Okay.
Sounds good.
That's why I reserve my own override of an objection.
Okay.
Okay. So, Mr. Coleman, you are under oath. Miss Wright, you may cross-examine this witness.
One more thing, sorry.
Oh, I'm sorry, there was 4. I thought there were only 3. Okay.
You said there are 7 exhibits that have been admitted. I've got
Correct.
more I'd like to admit. I can get them in through Mr. Coleman or,
Well, when you re-examine him, we'll discuss it.
okay.
So
That's
he's on cross-examination now. You've finished your examination.
Yes.
So yeah, to allow, I have the school absences as exhibit 1, iChat is exhibit 2, the FOC recommendation is exhibit 3. The pictures of Paul Hester as exhibit 4, the MDoc for Kirsten, I can't read my own handwriting, for exhibit 5, the Ionia the animal shelter as exhibit 6, and the picture of the dog bite of the young child as exhibit 7. Those are the 7 exhibits into evidence at this time.
Very good.
And sorry, I can't read my own handwriting. I really wanted to be a medical doctor, not just a doctor. Well, that's the difference between an MD, which is translates to meum deus, which is I'm God, to JD, a Juris Doctorate, otherwise just a doctor. So, in any event, please proceed, Ms. Wright.
All right. All right. So I guess I'll start with, and I can only talk about things that he's already talked about, correct?
We'll give you some leeway depending upon what that means.
Okay.
But there is an objection if you go outside the scope. Yes. And
Gotcha.
because it sounds like Mr. Chadwick is also going to go a little outside the scope if he wants to enter some more exhibits beyond the scope of his original examination.
Okay. All right. So, looking back at the notes that I had taken, I tried to go in order of his testimony. But last time, Tyler, I know you had referred to a situation of me picking Savannah up. I think you said Saturday, June 15th of last year. Is that correct?
No,
What date was it then? Because that's the notes that I have down here that
6th of last year.
I'm sorry,
Would have been June 6th of last year.
June 6th. Okay, June 6th. And it was a Saturday?
I believe so.
Okay. Can you describe what our weekend parenting schedule looks like?
What our weekend parenting schedule
Yeah.
looks like?
So, like, when does your weekend start and when would my weekend start? Like, what day of the week?
It usually starts on a Friday.
Okay. And goes until what day?
But that Friday you had forgotten to pick her up, so you would have picked her up on a Saturday,
And goes until what day?
Monday.
Monday. Okay. So you're saying that you're saying that I forgot to pick her up? That's under oath. You're saying that I forgot to pick her up, not that she had asked to stay an extra day and I agreed to it.
Leading question.
She's on cross-examination. She's allowed to ask leading questions. So she's leading cross-examination. She's allowed to ask leading questions.
You'd forgotten to pick her up that Friday. So I had her on Saturday.
And that's your sworn testimony that you're saying that I forgot, not that Savannah had asked not that you guys had something planned. And I just said, okay, yep, you can stay the extra night.
That's my sworn testimony, yeah.
Okay, all right.
Oh, I'm glad you're moving because I was afraid you froze.
Sorry, no, I'm just trying to read the notes that I had wrote down. Um, all right, so it was my weekend, you're saying I forgot. Okay, during that encounter, you described my behavior as when I came to pick her up as frantic and scared and that I was crying. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. Do you recall a year prior to that? Do you remember when you kept Savannah for over a month without allowing her to talk to me or see me for that? It was over a month. Do you remember that?
Yep.
Okay. And that was even after a judge had taken away your ex parte order and set to resume parenting time?
Yep.
Okay.
Could you answer yes or no, please? Just for the
Yes.
record. I apologize. Thank you. It just records better.
Sorry, Mr. Kmetz.
No, that's quite all right. It's just people don't understand sometimes the recording when you say yep doesn't sound like yes or no sometimes. It's hard to interpret. So that's why I ask for a concise yes or no. So no offense. I mean, we all do it. I've even been known to do it. So
So
human nature.
so wouldn't it be reasonable then, since you remember keeping her and not allowing her to talk to me or see me, even after the court had said resume normal parenting time and it was just on your own, you chose to keep her away from me. Is it not reasonable then to think that I would be frantic and scared when we're in a situation similar? It's the middle of my weekend. I'm letting her stay there an extra day, and then I come to pick her up and am upset when you're not letting her leave. Is it not reasonable to feel like that?
Mr. Kmetz, I can see a child in the background. I don't know how we're gonna control this. But
That's actually, it's Matt, will you wave?
Oh, yeah, I can wait.
That's my fiance. He just got home from dropping my stepdaughter off at work.
So my
Okay.
daughter was
So
right
yeah.
there.
that was
Well,
Savannah.
but they're
Yeah.
yeah. Make sure they're out of the room, please.
Okay. So we'll have to go either upstairs and close the door or something. Sorry, I'm sitting in my dining room. We don't have our office set up right now.
Okay.
I know you got here.
It's okay. Things like that happen. They're not here
Yeah.
purposefully listening. They're here going through
No.
the room.
Yeah, we just have an open floor plan in our front door and our back door. Both lead right through
And
here.
that's what we're taking care of. That's why I'm saying
Yep.
she's just as long as she's not here to hear the hearing.
Yeah, no.
The fiance can be in the room in the background, just not on the camera.
Okay. All right.
Just
Sounds good.
like he could be in the courtroom. As long as you're not calling him to testify,
No.
that's fine.
Okay.
If you're calling him to testify, then he needs to be upstairs.
Gotcha.
Tell him to go play Monopoly.
Where was I at? Okay, so knowing that the history of Vanna being kept from me and not being able to talk to me or see me for over a month, would it not be a reasonable response then to be fearful and crying? What was the word? Frantic, when again I've allowed her to stay an extra day and she's not being returned.
The way Savannah was, how she was afraid of you that day. I don't see an issue with it, no.
I'm talking about because you were upset about, you were saying that I was frantic and that I was crying and that my behavior was erratic.
I answered your
My question
no.
is, I'm sorry, please don't interrupt. My question
I answered
is,
your question, no.
my question is it not reasonable to think that my response and my acting that way or seeming frantic would not be a reasonable response to not allowing my child to come back home, with the thought that in the past you kept her from me for over a month without even allowing her to talk to me?
The way Savannah saw you that day and how she was afraid of you, no, I don't see an issue with it.
This is after the fact. You said that was afraid of me.
All right, you've got
that.
your answer. Please ask a question.
I'm not going to answer your question three
well,
times, Holly.
Yeah, ma'am.
I'm sorry, I just wasn't getting the. I was expecting.
You're not getting the answer you want is the problem. Asking it 3 times is not going to change the answer.
I'm sorry. I guess I didn't hear where he responded, where he said like what
he said, that because the child was scared of you and that there were other issues. No, he didn't see it as a problem. So
my behavior is what I was going on. That he didn't see
I understand.
my problem as a behavior.
Well, you're also asking his.
That's what I was. That was my question. We would need to rephrase it.
Let's see if we can rephrase this. Sir, did you see any issue with Miss Wright's behavior upon pickup and drop off? At that
day when she came to pick up Savannah, the way that she was acting, I did see an issue. It looked like she was under the influence. Quite honestly, yes, I did see an issue with her behavior.
Miss Wright?
Right. So, because you said that last time, my question is, you saw an issue with my behavior, but is it not reasonable to think that me being scared and me being frustrated was actually a cause of, in the past, you not giving Savannah back to me during my parenting time?
And I object.
Does that not
Well, I'm going to
explain-
overrule that objection. For once, I'm going to ask him to ask that specific question. Would it be reasonable in his impression that she would act differently because he, according to her, he's withheld the child? He may answer that question specifically.
Me withholding the child? She wasn't acting scared, Mr. Kometz. She was under the influence of narcotics.
That's not the question at hand. Would her actions that she engaged in at that time be reasonable from your impression? I'm trying to rephrase her question because I realize it's been asked and answered sort of, but answered from a different perspective. Would it be reasonable for her to act odd if you had withheld the child for 3 or 4 weeks and she might be skittish about the interaction between you and her in the exchange?
There were no issues prior to that pickup. There were no issues prior to that day. None whatsoever. That day, she was acting odd, like she was under the influence of drugs. Savannah was scared, so that's why Savannah didn't go. Savannah did not want to go. She went up on the porch. So no, I was not going to release her.
Okay.
I don't know.
Next question, ma'am. You did answer the question. Thank you, sir.
I don't know how many other times I can reword my answer.
You didn't have to reword the answer. It was just that you finally answered the question about her activity.
I can't
and you gave the background for it. Okay, ma'am. Next question.
Again, sorry, I'm trying to read my notes. All right, so you just had mentioned saying that I was acting like I was on narcotics. Can you be specific, like what that would look like, what narcotics would look like?
Use the latest device for measuring.
Holly, you know my background. You know where I worked.
I'm sorry, that didn't answer my question. Can you explain what that would look like?
What do you mean what it would look like?
How you're describing that I looked like I was on narcotics, what would that equate to?
Looking like you're on narcotics is different between people. I've worked.
All right. Let's ask the question correctly. What did you observe her actions to be?
What was that, Your Honor? Or what was that, Mr. Brown?
What did you observe that she was doing that made you believe she was on narcotics?
She was acting. when she got there, she was crying and bawling for no reason. Vanna did not want to go with her. She was crying and bawling and I need water, I need this, I need that. And then Vanna said, Mom, I don't want to go with you. I'm scared of you. And then she went up on the porch.
Who's she?
Savannah, sorry, I apologize.
And what porch?
The porch at my house.
Okay. So
And then
where the scenario is that the mother came to pick up your child.
correct,
And when I say your, I mean both of your children.
correct.
Your plural. So she came to pick your child up at your house, sir. The child allegedly was scared, according to your testimony, and then went back up on the porch. According to her statements, she's saying that she was acting because she was scared because you'd been withholding the child. All right. Please
Okay.
continue.
And then Savannah went up on the porch, and then not Savannah, Holly was going towards the porch, and my mother was like, Holly, Savannah doesn't want to come with you. And then Holly just flipped immediately. And Holly said, excuse my language, but said, you shut up, bitch, I'll beat an ass.
Okay.
That's kind of an indicative of narcotics use or drug abuse. I used to work at a place that did drug testing, drug abuse counseling. I kind of know the indicators.
All right,
I
Miss
guess-
Wright.
I'm not.
I guess just to follow up with that statement you just made, so that would indicate that I was on narcotics. You've never heard somebody that's not on narcotics use that phrase before? That just means that you have to be on narcotics.
No, Holly. Mr. Kometz, I've answered her question.
Yeah, and next question. This is the next question.
I've heard it come from other people, but Holly, you went from one extreme to the next immediately.
That doesn't answer my question, Tyler.
It is.
All right, hold on. Re-ask your question, ma'am. Let's see.
Okay, so I was asking that, you had just said my statements, specifically, with the profanity in it, that showed that I was on narcotics. My question is, you've never seen other people, like use that word or use those phrases and not be on narcotics? That solely by itself was saying that, yep, she did some sort of drug.
You went from an extreme low to an extreme high.
But yet you just stated when I got there, I was already frantic and crying and asking for water. And now you're saying that I went from an extreme low to an extreme high?
The extreme low was you frantic and crying.
Okay.
The extreme high, telling my mom that you're going to assault her.
I guess our definitions of lull, I was thinking when you said extreme lull.
Objection. The person has the right to ask questions, but not to testify.
Right. Correct. So, and I've allowed some really coming up to the line on that one, ma'am. So please ask your question or ask another question.
Okay. Yep. I can ask another question. During that situation, did, even though it was my weekend, did I end up taking Vanna with me?
No, you did not, because Savannah did not want to go with you.
Okay.
She was scared of you.
Okay. And just to make sure, so I have the opportunity later on when I do my own testimony to speak more on that. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay.
Because
All right.
you have the right to testify right now. You're asking questions.
I know. I just wanted to make sure that I wasn't doing, I still had the opportunity to speak on it later. That's all.
Okay.
All right.
Please continue on your questions.
Okay. This is the last question about that situation, but our last time you had testified that you saw me driving erratically on the road from your porch. How far, realistically, how far can you see from your porch down the road?
I can see down my driveway. And I can see from my driveway probably 50 yards.
From your driveway? When you were standing by the house, you can see 50 yards down the road.
Yeah,
And in that time, that's where you're claiming that I was driving erratically.
I could hear your engine.
You could hear it or you could see me.
I could
Previously, you said you could see me.
I could see you and hear your engine, Holly.
Okay.
Sounded like you were trying to Dale Earnhardt it down the road. And I could see how
I
fast your
don't know
vehicle.
what that means. Okay. I think trying to go in order with your testimony. So you're talking about Savannah's school day, like when you have her for school and she gets up, what you said you get her up at 7:20 and you
Yep.
guys leave the house by what time?
In between 7:55 and 8:10ish, 8:05, 8:10ish.
Okay. I'm seriously, I'm saying this with all honesty. I'm impressed because for both you guys to shower and be ready to go that quickly, that's awesome.
Savannah
But
takes her shower at night.
I'm sorry.
Savannah takes her shower at night.
Okay. And then you guys go to Big B,
Yes.
right? Which she's lucky to be able to do that. What does she usually order at Big B?
During the winter time, it's usually a mellow hot chocolate, 20-ounce kid size or kid temperature. During the summertime, it's a cookie dough cream freeze.
And do you guys get like muffins or anything with it?
I get a muffin, she gets donuts.
She gets donuts?
Yep.
And you guys go, is that like your typical before school or like if you have her and
Yes.
yeah.
I don't see what this has to do with anything, though.
It has to do with the well-being and her health. Isn't it true that her doctor wanted us to keep an eye on her caloric intake?
Yeah.
Okay, so do you think that that's in her best interest to then be eating donuts every day she's with you before school?
I don't see what this has to do with anything.
It has to do with her health and making that a priority and doing what's best for our child.
Okay.
So do you think that that is healthy for her to eat donuts and have a sugary drink?
Just like the slushies that you buy for her all the time? And the pop?
I'm
And
sorry.
that you get from Little Caesars?
I'm asking if you think it's healthy for her to have donuts and a sugary drink every time that you bring her to school. And you're also speaking about the summer, so I'm assuming you guys go during the summer as well. Do you think that that is healthy?
Not all the time, no.
Okay. Do you think that it goes along with her doctor suggesting that we watch her caloric intake?
Answer the question. No.
It doesn't. Okay. When you guys are, so that's before school. She gets home from school. You said that she does 10-year-old stuff. What would that be? What would 10-year-old stuff be?
What would 10-year-old stuff be?
Yeah, I think that was your words. You said that she gets home, she does 10-year-old stuff, and then she does her homework.
She gets home, she unwinds, she does her homework.
Okay. You guys don't go to,
If she has homework, which she doesn't have homework. Or she didn't have homework. Now that she's getting into 6th grade, she's gonna have homework.
Do you
Homework.
recall, I mean, do you help her with her homework when she's over there?
I have, yes.
Okay. Do you recall an essay that you had to help her with?
Yeah.
Okay. And how did you help her?
What does this have to do with anything?
Please answer the question. How did you help her?
Yeah.
I'm answering the question. I said, what does this have to
No.
do with anything?
No, that's not an answer, sir.
Question.
Answer the question.
I use Chat GPT, but I mean,
I'm
what
sorry,
does
can you
that-
say that again? What was it?
You heard what I said.
I'm sorry, I honestly I didn't hear what you said.
Honestly, you heard what I said.
Answer the question, sir, please. I didn't hear it because there was some overtalk. So what do you use? I think you said chat something, but I
Use
couldn't.
Chat GPT to help me with the answers.
There you go. Thank you.
To help with the answers. Can you describe what that website is for? Like
I
what it
think
what it
what-
does specifically?
I think you know what it's for, and I think everybody else knows what it's
Would
for.
I
you
do know what-
answer the question? This is not an argument between the two of you. She gets to answer questions. You need to answer them, not argue. Thank you, sir. And ma'am, you're getting better at the questions. Please keep them more concise. Sir,
Thank
just
you.
answer them, not answer them with a question. It's not that answering a question with a question is not an answer. Thank you. And yes, some of this stuff is relevant because if a doctor is saying the child should have calorie intake and you're giving her highly caloric drinks and food, that's relevant. It may or may not be relevant in totality, but it's relevant to the discussion that we're having here. But answering the questions about how you do homework with her is relevant. So please ask the questions more concisely, and Mr. Coleman, please answer them.
It's AI.
Okay.
So you put in a topic and it gives you, I've never used it, so I honestly I've never used it, so I don't know how it works. But it sounds like you put in what you want to be written and it just auto generates it.
What does this have to do with anything?
Is that correct?
Jesus Christ. You're not asking questions, Mr. Coleman. Please don't go there. Answer the questions. Okay, please. Some of these are legitimate questions. You may be offended by some of them.
I'm not offended. I just don't see any.
Well,
point.
you're acting like it, and she's been offended by many of the ones you've asked, but she did answer them. Again, in the same format, but not as bad. This is not a confrontation between the two of you. This is a question and answer session to get information. Let's get the information. Thank you. Please proceed, Ms. Wright.
Sorry, I don't even know how we answer the question, but it's pretty much a website that auto generates the answers for the essay.
That's what his answer was. It was AI. It was artificial intelligence. Thank you.
Okay. All right. And isn't it true that afterward you were so proud of using that artificial intelligence to generate her essay that you posted about it on social media?
My social media has nothing to do with this.
It can have. Did you post?
I did, but my social media has nothing to do with this.
Yes, it does. She seemed to have a feeling that some of your questions didn't have anything to do with anything. Neither one of your responses about what is relevant or what is not your question. That's up to the court to decide what's relevant. And some of this is highly relevant. So let's proceed. Did you post or did you not post?
I did. I posted Chat GPT for the win.
Okay, there you go. Thank you. Some of them, like I said, maybe the answers become irrelevant, but asking whether they're relevant or not is not a question, is not an answer. All right. Please proceed. I'm just trying to get the information I need, folks. You playing this game of counter, and this is not your game of chess. Okay? This is me watching the chessboard. Play the game. Bad analogy, by the way. Thank you. I'm just trying to move this along.
I got you. And I apologize again.
Well,
because
no,
my vision
both
is
of you,
off
both of
and
you need to understand that this is not the argument between the two of you. You're no
Yep.
longer married. You're no longer together. This is questions and answers to try and elicit information that may or may not help the court. And trust me, there's a large percentage of stuff you guys ask that are not going to help the court, but it still needs to be asked and answered because maybe it might. For instance, sir, had you have answered, yeah, and then I elaborated upon what I said about my daughter, instead of saying AI for the win, that may have been relevant to out your daughter about using AI in helping her with her homework to the public. Since you didn't, AI for the win is an innocuous answer, but it's the answer, not the how is this relevant. Okay? So understand just sometimes answering the question can be more helpful than trying to go against the question.
To move this along, I'd like to instruct Mr. Coleman, if it's an unfair question, I can object. I'll
Right.
take care of that for you. You
Yeah,
don't have
he
to
will.
object to a question. When I'm not saying anything, it's because it's a fair question. You're gonna have to answer the fair questions.
Okay.
Correct. Okay. And again, no harm, no foul here, folks. We're just trying to elicit information. Again, that may or may not be helpful. Sometimes it is, a lot of times it's not. But you never know. Sometimes somebody makes a swing and it's not a miss. And the answer to the question is like, oh, okay, that's more important than I thought it was. All right. So she's allowed to ask those questions just as you were allowed to ask those questions too. Okay.
All right.
So take no offense to the question. Just answer it. Thank you both. Miss Wright, you took notes. You're trying to go through the testimony as you heard it and ask questions that are relevant.
Yeah.
Please continue. Trust me, if Mr. Chadwick finds one of those questions irrelevant, he'll object and maybe I'll overrule him because I might find it more relevant than he does. Because there are times that I never know where it's going to lead.
right.
Okay.
So continuing on with schooling or education type stuff. Did Savannah meet the expectations, the requirements for 5th grade at the end of the year?
Yes, she did.
She did. And we together and decided that she didn't need to do summer school, correct?
Correct.
Okay. But isn't it true that Vanna did say she wanted to do schoolwork during the summer to make sure she didn't get behind?
No, she said she wanted to go to summer school, so she didn't get behind.
Okay. So
Communication between you or I about any of that.
I'm sorry. I really couldn't
There was no communication between you or I about any of that.
about the summer school
Right.
outside of your office. We didn't have that discussion about whether or not she should do summer school because
Both came to the conclusion that she didn't need to go to summer school.
we came to the conclusion, correct? Together.
Yes.
Okay. So when Vanna explained to you that I was having her do math work and reading before she could have screen time, what was your response?
What?
I'm sorry, I'll rephrase it. Isn't it true that you said it was like a prison over here because I was having her do schoolwork during the summer before
As
she
a
could have
joke,
screen
as a
time?
joke, yes, I did say that.
That it was like prison.
As a joke, yes, I did say that. Am I not allowed to say jokes? Is that against the rules?
Well, you're allowed to explain that it was a joke. Some people think statements as they are. So please proceed. I'll take judicial notice of the fact that you two don't get along all that well. And sometimes you take each other's comments out of context and out of sarcasm. So come on, guys. I get it. You don't communicate well. There's a reason you broke up. And ma'am,
Again, I'm sorry. I'm trying
he might have said it as a joke, and I understand what you're getting
Yeah.
at, but you know, there
So
are moments.
I'm just trying to read my notes for my next question.
Well,
I'm
then let's
sorry.
get the next question out.
My vision today is not the greatest, so it's hard to see what I had written down. All right, so typical day, Tyler, um, during your parenting time, how frequently do you guys go to the office?
Every day.
Every day that you have her, you're at the office with her?
Job.
When she's at the office, what does she do while you're working?
Depends on what needs to be done. If she's got something that she has to get done, she gets it done. Then
Such as,
if
can
she's
you give
got,
me an example of what she would have to get done as a
if
10-year-old?
she has any kind of schoolwork she has to get done, which, like I said, is a rarity, then she has to get it done.
So as a rarity, so then what does she do? How does she spend her time as she's sitting at the office while you're working?
I mean, she'll play on her phone. She'll read something on my computer. She'll read something on my tablet.
So majority is just screen time. How long do you spend at the office? You said you're there every day you have her, but for how many hours? Just like an hour, or is it
It
a full
varies.
shift?
I move to strike the statement before this question about the majority of screen time. I don't believe that was a testimony.
I was taking that out of, I didn't even consider that. I already took that objection into consideration
Thank you.
because that was not relevant. Well, it's relevant, but it's not the question. It's her statement, not testimony. But we are, this is relevant. You take the child to your work, and how long do you stay there, and what goes on? So let's see what that means. That could be good. That could be bad. I mean, I've had truck drivers that sometimes take their kids on the road with them upon occasion, and sometimes that's good, and the majority of the time that wasn't good. But there have been moments that the kid really was like basically learning a skill. There have been other moments that it was a way to fill time and it was inappropriate. So sometimes this is good, sometimes this is bad. So let's go into the questions about what happens when you take her to work. All right. She's allowed to ask those questions. Ms. Wright, please proceed.
Time there at my office varies. I mean, we can be there for 2 hours. We can be there for 6 hours, 7 hours. Sometimes she helps me pick stuff up around the office. Like on a weekend, if I'm there, then she can be on her phone. If it's during the week, this is during, excuse me, this is during this. No, I'm going by if this is during school. If she had homework, which was a rarity, then she could, if she had homework and she'd do her work, then she'd be on her phone. But after school, we were there maybe an hour and a half. Then she'd come home, dinner. She'd get her pajamas around, take a shower, get ready for bed.
So when you say dinner, which if you guys are at the office, what does dinner look like?
I'd go to the store and I'd buy groceries and I'd cook it on the stove.
Even at the office?
No, I don't. You've been to my office. Do you see a stove at my office?
Well,
Right.
sir, the way
Well,
you
my
just
question
the
is-
way you just testified was she's asking you what happens at your office. And then you became belligerent and said that you go to the store, you get food, you cook it. Like I said,
Well, I'm just
answer the questions. She's
just
just,
asking what dinner look like. It varies. I mean,
there we go.
I-
In general would help,
it
don't
just- it-
don't shoot yourself in the foot trying to prove
I'm
a point that you're just not proving.
I'm not
Answer the
trying to shoot
questions.
myself in the foot. It's just
You're doing so. So come on, just answer the questions. You go to work with your daughter. Upon occasion, great. Okay. And then how does it happen that you cook her a meal? And then you jumped into, well, because you kind of led to the fact that maybe you make her meals at the work. And come on, let's answer the question as to how this happens. It's pertinent, it's relevant.
It depends. I might get some. I might go to the store, get
Okay.
something to make, and make it at home. I might get something more elaborate.
Right.
It depends on the day.
Again, see, not a hard question to answer.
Some days I might
Don't
order. Some days I might get Chinese. Some days you might get stuff for sandwiches. It depends.
again, see, not a bad answer. And an answer without being angry about the answer, just understanding that we're trying to find the situation that's occurring. You questioned a lot of what she did on her time with her daughter. She gets to do the same with you. All right. The court's trying to piece this all together. So knowing what this child's day-to-day existence is like is helpful. Let's find out what that is. Okay. Don't be angry about it. Let's just find out what it is. I mean, it is what it is. People live their lives perfectly? Never. God, I wish. But then again, we'd be bored. So, great. You take her to work. She works on homeworks when it's a school day, if she has it. She works with you some days. I have
Sometimes
some further.
sometimes
Let me,
I attempt to teach her something.
you're right. Okay.
She gets bored with it after 5 minutes and
It's age. That's age
follow.
inducing. All right. Let me ask the pertinent question here, Miss Wright. Forgive me for interrupting. What do you do for a living, sir?
I do IT and computer repair
Cool. Where's the office?
here in Ionia.
All right. I mean, it's not at your home.
It was for a little bit. Then
Okay. Now it's separate.
yeah.
How often do you take her to the separate office?
Wait, excuse me. I'm sorry. Hold on.
How long do you take her to the separate office? Because I'm assuming now that you've taken her to your office, but it was in your home for a while. Now it's at someplace separate. How often do you take her to the office that's separate from your home?
Almost all the time I have her.
Cool. All right. And what does that entail? What kind of environment is it?
There's my bench where I do all the
Okay.
work. Then I have my desk where I do more work.
All right. And what space does she have?
Whatever seat that I'm not sitting at, she sits at.
Okay. She have her own desk?
She claims my desk as hers.
Oh, in other words, she takes over your space. Okay. Great.
She's the boss, pretty much.
Well, okay. See, now that's what we're trying to get at. Okay. Is there a kitchen or a lunchroom there?
No, there's not. It's
Okay.
I rent space from a landlord here in Ionia.
So it's just a one room area?
It's six. There's 6 different suites in the building.
Okay. But your space is a one room space?
Yeah,
I take it the bathroom's separate from the office?
yeah,
Okay.
yes.
But she
Sorry.
has her own kind of special setup there, or she takes over yours?
She takes over mine.
Okay. When she's there all day, is it during the school day?
No, it's
Okay, obviously. What days of the week do you work?
I work Monday through Friday.
Okay, so we're not talking on Saturdays.
Sometimes if I have to get stuff done.
Okay, do you take her to work on Saturdays upon occasion?
Yeah. And then after we're done, we go to I might take her to a movie or something.
Okay.
If she's been cooped up all day.
See? Now, when I'm asking the questions you're answering them quite well and quite appropriately. Please do the same for Miss Wright. She deserves the same kind of respect. Okay? And they were simple questions. You answered them quite well and legitimately and understandably. All right?
Mhm.
So let's go back to the cross-examination and allow Miss Wright to ask some of those questions and go on with her questions. And then please respect her as you respected me. Thank you. Miss Wright?
Thank you. So with I'm just with dinner, Tyler, I'm just wondering, fast food wise, like how many, if you guys are at the office several times a week, how many of those days are you guys getting fast food or eating out at a restaurant?
I don't know.
More than half of the time or the majority of the time or just
That's kind of a loaded question because one week I have her a Wednesday, then a Friday, Saturday, Sunday.
Next week I have her Wednesday, Thursday, Friday.
So
Or
out of the 3 days that you have her, I'm trying to count three. Yeah, the 3 days that you have her and you guys are at the office, say you're at the office all 3 days. How many of those 3 days do you guys eat out and about?
maybe one.
Okay. And on the weekends, like K-pot, um, would you say that you guys eat out more frequently or would you
On the
cook
weekends,
dinner? I'm just saying in general, do you guys eat out at restaurants and out at fast food more
go to
frequently than you
restaurants
cook
quite a
at
bit,
home?
yes.
Okay.
But we cook a lot at home too.
Okay. So again, do you think that, in your opinion, is there an opportunity to make sure that she is being given um, being able to follow along with what her doctor said?
What are you getting at? I'm not following
For
you.
instance, if the only option she had as a 10-year-old was fast food and she's not given another option, do you think that's fair to her, for her? Do you think that's good for her health?
No,
Okay.
but like I just said, there's probably it's not an all the time thing.
Okay.
I can't do round robin with this fast food thing.
You're not, but to let you know, I had a judge change custody over several McDonald's meals when I was a practicing attorney. So understand that it's a pertinent question,
I
sir.
can't stand like McDonald's messes with my stomach.
Okay, maybe not McDonald's, but you're talking about fast food, but you haven't clarified. Please
Yeah.
understand that it's legitimate questions. And trust me, I will never switch custody over a McDonald's meal or three or four. Okay. I was aghast when the judge did that to my client. All right. Sometimes fast food is necessary and appropriate sometimes, inappropriate other times, but I'm not going to switch custody over feeding a kid upon occasion, something other. But understand it's a legitimate question and it's a legitimate concern. If this child has issues medically that should constrain caloric intake, the questions about caloric intake are appropriate. So, yeah, just answer the questions. I'll weigh them appropriately, Mr. Coleman. And Miss Wright, I will take into consideration your concerns, but ask the questions, let's get the answers, and we'll see if they really, in the long run and in totality, matter.
All right.
And I don't, no questions were asked of you about how often you take the child for fast food or anything. But when you testify, that may come up on cross-examination now.
Correct.
So when you open a door, be careful. It opens both ways.
Yep.
And again,
Definitely.
Mr. Coleman, as I just tried to demonstrate to you earlier, it's not animosity here. It's just let's answer the questions, get the answers. What's happening in this kid's life? Okay. All right. Please proceed, Miss Wright.
All right. Since we are talking about her health at the moment, do you recall, so the doctor's appointment where we did discuss her health and watching what she ate, isn't it true that we came up with a plan with the doctor for her to go on do physical activity at least 3 times a week?
Yep. Yes. Sorry.
And part of that plan just was part of that plan that she walks to school. At my house, at least, it was because we're so close.
I'm not gonna make her walk 7.5 miles. But yes.
Right. Okay. So at the end of that doctor's appointment, when we had just agreed and made a plan with the doctor, including us walking to school, what happened? What happened when we left that doctor's appointment?
What do you mean?
So we got out to the to our cars, and it was Savannah's day to spend with me. So to get her to school, how was I gonna get her to school?
You were gonna walk there, but it was 9:30.
I was gonna walk her, and
I'm answering your question like you
Okay.
wanted me to. It was 9:30. And I said, well, why don't I give her a ride? And you fought me. No, you're going to have Matt, the one without a driver's license, give you a ride. And I said, no, I don't want her going in that. I don't want her going in that vehicle. And the police ended up showing up.
who called the police?
I did.
And is it not true that you called the police because I was going to have her walk to school, like we just talked about with the doctor, and she was complaining that she didn't want to?
No, she said, I want Daddy to give me a ride so I can get to school on time.
Not that she didn't school on time
Not-
because
not
she
on
was already
time.
late, correct?
She wanted to get to school sooner than what it would take for you guys to get there.
To walk, and it's only it's 3 blocks away,
But why
correct?
later than she already was?
Correct. The doctor's office is 3 blocks from the school. Correct.
Correct.
Okay. So instead of just walking, didn't it take longer because you called the cops because I was going to walk her to school? Didn't that make her even more late for school? Had we not just walked?
It did. But why wouldn't you just let me give her a ride to school?
I guess with my question was to you, Tyler, the fact that, she was made even later to school because you called the cops, correct?
I think we made our point.
Yes. And that the doctor, we had
Yeah.
just done with the
Yeah, I
doctor.
think, again, I'll take that as an objection, Mr. Chadwick. And yeah, I'm going to agree with that objection. This one's been asked and answered. Obviously, the doctor said get more exercise. She chose a way to make the exercise. Testimony is he interfered with that. So,
Can I elaborate on
well, I think you've elaborated on 3 different times. She's tried to ask you and tried to give you a chance, but you kind of said the police were called, you called them. It's 3 blocks from the doctor's office, and you had just been told she needed exercise. Let's move on from this one, please.
Okay. Again, I apologize. I'm just trying to read my notes. Okay. So the last time we were talking about having been in my house, and you described dirty dishes being in the sink. You also stated that I didn't have money for food. What reason would there be for dirty dishes to be in the sink?
if you hadn't washed them.
But why would they be dirty? What would be a reasonable explanation for why there'd be dirty dishes?
If you hadn't washed them.
But why would they be dirty? What makes a dish dirty?
Okay, now we're getting off the rails.
I'm just saying.
I know he testified, and I'm discounting that testimony. I mean, dishes pile up because people get fed, food gets made. Sometimes you can't keep up. Hell, I've run my dishwasher 3 times a day on upon occasion. So life occurreth.
I guess the point I'm trying to make is, by saying that we don't have food at our house yet, he's saying that he saw dirty dishes.
I get it.
Obviously.
I get it, but that's why I'm not belaboring the point.
Okay.
Because obviously there can't be dirty dishes if there's no food.
Right.
Got it. It was an inarticulate way of asking the question, but got the point. Thank you. Move on.
Thanks.
Sorry, at this point, I'm trying to do damage control to both of you. You only have so many feet to shoot yourself in. And again, this goes both ways, folks.
all right. You also had said that you hadn't seen her bedroom and you said that you didn't think she had a bed at my house. Is that correct?
No,
I guess maybe
I don't
Okay,
remember
no.
that because we're on day 3 and it's been over
I know.
2 months, but I'll note that for when I review the testimony.
Do you remember FaceTiming? Tyler, do you remember FaceTiming with me and Savannah while she was in her bedroom?
yeah. Yes, sorry, Mr. Pence.
No,
Okay.
that's quite like I
As
said.
well
I try not to hit you with human nature, but at the same time, I try to move you along due to human nature. So no offense taken. Just please try. That's all I ask.
As well as do you remember receiving a picture when we redecorated her room and sent you a picture?
I don't remember that, no.
You don't remember that. Okay. But you have seen that she has a bed, correct?
Yeah, yes, but like I said, I don't remember ever saying that she doesn't have a bed.
Okay. But you agree that she has a bed here.
Yes,
Okay. Previously, you stated that you guys share a room at your house. Is that correct?
yes,
Okay. Does Savannah have a bed at your house?
yes,
Does she sleep in her bed at your house?
most of the time.
I'm sorry?
Most of the time.
She sleeps in her bed or your bed?
God, why do I have to?
Because you're going to have to answer this one. Trust me.
Yes, most of the time. Sometimes if we're watching a movie, she'll sleep in my bed.
So there's not laundry on her bed and she's not asked you to clean her bed off so she could sleep in her own bed?
She has one time.
One time. The last time that she was over there, for parenting time, where did she sleep?
In her bed.
In her bed? I'm sorry, is that what you said? In her bed is what you're saying?
Yes.
That's what he said. Yes.
Okay.
Why do I have to keep repeating myself to you?
I'm just trying to get you to answer the questions because I don't think it's appropriate, which I'll get to when I do my testimony. But how about describing your trailer? Describe the bathroom.
Got a toilet, a sink, a shower.
What about a door?
It's got a curtain.
A curtain, but
Yep.
not a door.
Wait, a curtain to the bathroom or a curtain to the tub or what?
It's got a curtain to the bath. Instead of a door, it's got a curtain.
So
To
there's
the
no.
bathroom itself.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Okay.
Which I might add, CPS is already cleared and okay.
I was going to say, there's no requirement for a door to a space.
No,
as long as-
just for Holly's peace of mind.
No, I know that. I'm just trying to make sure that we have the whole like everyone has the information they need. She's a 10-year-old girl who's going through puberty.
Well,
and
but
have,
again, if there's some kind of a divider, whether it be a shower curtain or a door, it's a separate area.
It's a thick privacy curtain, like a blackout curtain.
but with a bed, CPS did say she had to sleep in her own bed, correct?
Which she does.
Every single night.
I am not going to keep arguing this with you.
I'm not
Yes.
arguing with you, Tyler. I'm just
I don't
trying
want
to
an
get
argument
this
about it.
corrected.
I'm trying to determine, because it is an issue, whether she sleeps in her bed or not.
She does. There might be a night here or there where we'll be watching a movie and she'll fall asleep. I'm not going to wake her up to move her.
Okay. She sleeps in her bed. What pajamas does she wear?
Batman
What is she-
pants and a t-shirt.
What does she wear for pajamas? Sorry.
Batman pants and a t-shirt.
T-shirt.
What do you wear when you sleep?
basketball shorts.
All right.
Okay.
I'm going to give a short leash on this one, ma'am. There were concerns of this, but let's continue with your questioning.
I just think, and you've heard her express the fact that she wants you to clean off her bed, correct?
Yes, or no? Just answer it.
Yes, I have.
Okay.
She has expressed that.
Oh, yes, she has. It was a while ago.
Did you clean it off?
If she sleeps in her bed,
That's
What
not,
would it
did you clean it off?
yes,
Don't answer with a question.
Okay.
Just answer what she's asking, yes or no.
but I've already gone through all this.
No, you haven't, sir.
Fair question, you gotta answer yes or, if it's a yes or no question, you're only.
There is a concern whether she's allowed to sleep in her bed.
Of course she is. Why wouldn't she?
It's an open question. Because it's some of my notes from previous testimony. So forgive me, but that's why this is pertinent. That's why the court intervened and said, no, I need to hear about this.
And since we're talking, I'm asking about your house. You talked about the fire that recently happened.
Okay,
And you said it was electrical fire, correct?
correct.
So can you describe again what you mean by it was an electrical fire? Like what caused it?
It was old heat tape that caught on fire that was covered by new heat tape.
So that fire
Mhm.
could have,
Yeah.
it's reasonable that it could have been preventable then, correct?
All right, let me go to some things here so that you guys don't really go off on tangents that have already been gone on. She suffers from a disability. She has insurance to cover it. That puts her in a hotel room if she got into certain situations. Sir, you have similar insurance. Your house caught on fire. You wound up in a hotel for a while because of the incidents that happened, all of which were accidental. I can't consider them. Bottom line, I will not hold a disability against somebody that she couldn't pay her bills because of her disability. So the insurance kicked in, paid off her mortgage for a while, and put her up in a hotel room because of things that happened, including loss of water and loss of electricity. You lost the entire place for a fire. You both have these problems.
But we didn't
And
lose the entire place.
Again, you wound up in a hotel because of something that happened at your home that was really no fault of your own. The same happened to her. Through no fault of her own, because of her disability, she lost time and had to spend some time in a hotel because of a disability. You guys are living your lives. That's not the important part here. I'm going to the best interest of a child and what's going on with her schooling. Sorry, I find that pertinent. Exposure to people that are problematic, and what's going on in the care of each of you. So look, things happen. Incidents happen. Fires happen. People go into diabetic problems. Hypoglycemia occurs. People are applying for disability. Let's talk about this child, not about how much you hate each other. Give me something that will help me make her life better. Parenting time is in her best interest, not in yours.
Yep.
Okay? I've had very pertinent testimony about her missing school and the problems there. I've had very pertinent testimony about things in her life. The fact that you guys yell at each other or don't like each other, I really don't care. I get it. And I understand you may not like each other. But I'm trying to make this kid's life better. So let's move on with that issue. You know, there were questions and concerns about her ability to sleep at your house, sir. There are questions and concerns about you getting her to school, ma'am. Those are pertinent. There are questions and concerns about you exposing this child to people that are not appropriate and getting her bit in the face because of it. Because you exposed her to a dog that she shouldn't have been exposed to. So let's concentrate on what's important here and stop yelling at each other. Answer questions that may help the court. Thank you.
I still have opportunity to speak on-
I am asking you to continue with your questions, ma'am.
Okay. Just how did you find out that the house was on? Did the smoke alarm go off in your house?
Yes,
The smoke alarm did go off?
yes.
Okay.
And I saw smoke. My mother saw smoke as well.
All right. Um, I guess I was under the impression that the smoke alarms did not go off.
Okay.
Mhm. And that's why
According-
sometimes these answers are appropriate.
Right, according to
I'm glad you're all safe.
right.
That could have been a disaster. But again, things like that happen.
You guys do have the new smoke alarms now, right? Just so for future, like make sure it's safe. Just make sure it's safe because Savannah was just saying you guys got new ones and it just
Yes.
for her. Okay, all right. I wasn't trying to argue. I was trying to for real
100%.
put her make sure that everyone's like making sure she's safe.
There's
If it
smoke alarms
were
and
to
carbon monoxide detectors combined. You know, on top of
I have no doubt the insurance company kind of insisted on that one.
Yeah. All right. So you had said before that I forfeited parenting time. Can you describe what that means by forfeiting parenting time? I just want to make sure I'm
give it up or you forget about it. You don't
so
show up.
given up. Is that something like when are you considering forfeiting parenting time like if she's at her grandma's house?
If she's already with you on your parenting time and she goes to her grandma's house, that's on you.
Well, that's what I'm questioning
But
because I really
but if she's with me and you don't pick her up, you're forfeiting your parenting time.
so I guess if she calls me when she's with you and she asks to stay an extra day because you guys have something planned, typically what do I say?
You say yes.
I say yes because not for you, but for Savannah, correct?
Yeah. Yes.
Okay. So would that not be an example of encouraging?
That doesn't count as forfeiting your parenting time.
Oh, I guess that was my question, and that's where I'm trying to figure out what.
I think he's answered that when she's spending time on your time with the grandparents, that's not forfeiting. What's forfeiting is when you have time and you refuse to use it. And that's pretty much what his answer is. Okay.
Okay. So I'm just, if she calls and they want to go to a movie or they want to go to a concert and I allow her to stay there for her happiness. Tyler, is that what you're considering forfeiting time?
He just said no. Ma'am,
Okay.
please,
Okay.
please, on your behalf, listen. Okay. Okay. I understand it's not easy, but continue.
What days, Tyler? What days did I forfeit?
I don't know the
That's
date
parenting time.
specifically.
That's right.
Sorry, I'm trying to read my notes and I just can't.
And I'm trying to move this
Okay.
along, man.
Can we take a little break to get a snack real quick? My blood sugar
Do you
is
understand if the blood sugar is
dropping.
low? As best as you can, please try to continue with your cross-examination.
Okay. I know last time, Tyler, you had mentioned, and it's even one of the exhibits, pictures of Paul Hester, holding what was actually a prop gun. But do you remember or recall where you said that picture was taken at?
Yes.
In what room of my house?
It was taken upstairs and when you had the studio upstairs,
What kind of studio was it?
music studio.
Okay. Are you aware that Paul Hester is a musician, specifically a rapper?
You want to call it that? Yeah.
Okay. So is it not reasonable then to think the prop gun and him posing was actually part of a music video?
That's not a prop gun.
I guess that doesn't really answer the question, isn't it? Wouldn't it be reasonable to say that he
No.
was posing
Okay.
as a
No.
Yeah,
Part
the
of
answer was no.
okay. As far as I know, you had brought up Matthew Preston as well. and his record. How did I come to know Matthew Preston?
through me.
Through you. How come Savannah calls Matt Preston Uncle Matt? Where did that start?
Him and I used to be best friends.
Okay. So how many of the things that were on his record happened before Vanna was born?
I don't know.
Would you say the majority of them or not?
Probably the majority of them, yeah.
Okay. So I guess introducing myself and Vanna to Matt Preston, and now using that his record and things that happened in the past when you two were friends, I guess how is it different for me to have her around Matt Preston? How is that a bad thing, but it's okay for you to have her around Matt Preston?
I don't live with him.
I'm sorry,
I didn't live with him.
you didn't live with him?
What?
You said you didn't live with him?
Did not.
Right. Is it not true that Matt Preston actually lived in your house and your mom was his guardian for a while?
When we were 16.
But you just said you didn't live with him.
This was 24 years ago.
Okay. So,
Accumulated this huge record that included possession of drugs.
but he accumulated this record before I knew him, before Savannah was born, correct?
Possession of drugs came after Savannah was born.
After Savannah was born, but before I knew him, correct?
Like, you knew him.
Before we were together.
You knew him.
And knowing his name and being before him and I were in a relationship.
Oh, no. You said knew him.
Wait.
I'm trying to clarify.
Hold it. Let me ask a question. Mr. Coleman, did you introduce this man to Holly?
Matt and I were friends.
Okay, and lived together because obviously he lived in your home, and you're the one that introduced this relationship into the mix.
I didn't introduce the relationship they have now.
But you introduced the relationship to her.
Matt and I were friends. This was way before, so I've known Matt since I was 16 years old.
Okay, so she didn't know him. She's not the inceptor of this relationship.
The what?
The starter of this relationship.
The intimate relationship she is.
Okay, that's more of a pertinent question, but you put him in the mix, not her. She may have increased and that's for another session of questions, but you knew him first and you knew who he was. Okay. I just wanted to confirm that because that is relevant. But ma'am, the increase of the relationship can go on further in other questioning. Please proceed.
So again, I guess you knew about whatever possession charge you were referring to. You knew about that prior to mine and Matt's relationship starting.
Yes, and so did you.
And Vanna calls him Uncle Matt. I guess you already said that. Sorry, I didn't already ask that question. And same with you had brought up, I guess I don't know if I can refer to evidence that's on there that
Well, ask a question and let's see where you can get with it. And if there's a check.
Okay, so you had submitted evidence to be put in there that was Brittany Bound's criminal record as well.
Okay.
Okay, and what pertinence would that have? Like, why?
Weren't you in an intimate relationship with Brittany Bound?
I guess that would be something that you would ask later. My question is,
Well, it's kind of an answer, but
okay,
I take it
that's fine.
You're saying, sir, that she was in an intimate relationship with this young lady. That's your answer? Is that your answer, Mr. Coleman? Yes or no?
Yes.
Sorry. Okay. So you're saying that she's the one who incepted a relationship with this young lady, the sister of.
No, it was Matt's ex-girlfriend.
Oh, Matt's ex.
So how did I
need a whiteboard all of a sudden. Okay.
So I maybe I'm wrong in thinking this, but by putting her stuff out there, I'm thinking you're saying I have Savannah around someone else, someone that's not the greatest person. But how did I meet Brittany Bound?
She's my cousin.
She's your cousin. But so I just ran into her at the store. Did someone introduce me to her?
I didn't introduce her to you. I object to relevance. And we're way off base here. That we put a
I guess,
Proposed
I guess-
exhibit. We've never tried to admit it. We haven't brought the witness in, and the relationship between Tyler and this witness is irrelevant.
You're muted, Mr. Kmetz.
Yeah,
I hate my elbow in this little key fob. Because if I'm leaning forward like this trying to listen, they put this thing right where your elbow is. In any event, Mr. Chadwick, you put into evidence that this young lady, I had no idea the relationship at the time, is a problem because Miss Wright knew she was a problem and that she brought a dog into the relationship that was very problematic. You initiated that line of questioning. I believe she gets to cross-examine on how that relationship began. You may when it comes up, cross or recross the fact that she continued a relationship above and beyond what
think
is
we're-
before the court.
I think we're getting confused between Kristen Preston and the other one. That's why I wasn't sure if I could bring up the.
Well, I'm trying. Okay, now I'm confused.
Sorry.
Basically, we've got somebody that was the girlfriend of somebody, I think, that we were just talking about.
She was a friend of mine that is Tyler's cousin. Tyler introduced us.
This is a
and
separate person
Yeah,
from the
and
person
he
that owned the
put in
dog.
evidence saying that, I'm presuming that saying I have her around not the greatest people because she also has a record. But it was in fact
Okay,
Tyler
so
who introduced us.
This isn't the person that owned the dog.
No,
Okay, I'm sorry, I got confused. I thought it was the same person.
sorry.
So this is a separate person. So we're dealing with a person that he has accused you of exposing the child to that's not got a good background.
Correct.
All right, let's see if we get some questions to make that make sense to the court, please.
So my question was, how did I come to know her? Tyler.
Her and Matt down at the fairgrounds while I was at work. I never.
How did I get to know her? The interaction, my first interaction with her, how did I get to know her?
Just answered your question.
That's something about the fairgrounds.
On my own though, or did you introduce us?
On your own. I never introduced you to Brittany.
I guess.
A suggestion, Ms. Wright, if you just state a fact, but before you state the fact, say, isn't it true that? And then you tell us what you think happened. He'll say yes or no.
There we go.
Isn't it true? Isn't it true that you are the one who introduced Brittany and I?
No.
So
Next
it's
question.
not true. Okay.
Just because you don't like the answer. Next question.
So how did that happen then? Because at that point, you and I were living in the same house together. So how did that happen that I came to even have her phone number? Or know that she existed, know that she was even
Through Matt.
a person?
Through Matt. You talked to Matt on the phone. You went to go visit Matt at the fairgrounds. You went and visited Matt and Brittany at the fairgrounds while I was at work.
What I'm saying is
Is
it not true? Is it not true that I know Matt and I know Brittany through you?
I think he answered that question already.
And moving on to Kristen Preston, do you know why she was here, Tyler?
I have no idea why she was there.
You don't recall me telling you why she was here?
Because she was a drug addict.
You don't remember the whole story? Why there was another child at my house?
Because she was a drug addict.
So you don't remember what it is then? I don't know if it's appropriate to remind you. Isn't it true?
Kristen was a drug addict.
Isn't it true?
Times.
Isn't it true that the reason that Kristen had been back and forth to my house is because we had a court hearing for me to take custody of her daughter?
I do recall that, yes.
Okay. So that she could better herself. With her dog. And I think you guys put in as one of your exhibits the police report from Karma and the dog next door fighting. If you look back over that, isn't it true that there's a section on there that the animal control says that the dog was not aggressive and that the dog stood there and was behaving?
I believe Ms. Wright is referring to Exhibit 7, which
Correct. And I'm looking for it.
Yeah, dog bite report, 4 pages, and I've got it up on my screen. Ms. Wright, can I show this exhibit to Mr. Colin?
Yes.
All
Please
right.
do.
It's been admitted by the court. I'm showing.
Correct.
what-
It's Exhibit 7.
I believe this is the same report. It says Iona County Animal Shelter at the top, and it is 4 pages.
This one's in,
And I'm sorry, I don't remember if it's that one specifically, or it was it's one of the, had something to do with karma. And it was either the police report or the report from animal control.
I don't see anything like that.
What was
What page of this report does it say that this dog was safe?
I'm sorry, I don't have them, I can't see them in front of me to see it, but when
Because that's the point. We're looking at this report and it's not.
Mr. Kometz,
it might be
Yes.
the police report.
Mr. Kometz, it would be on the police report where it mentions Keegan, can you scroll up?
Well,
Where it has
that's
Keegan's name on it?
that's not Exhibit 7. That's Exhibit, so we're looking for the wrong exhibit here.
I apologize, I'm sorry, I couldn't remember which one. I didn't know if they were combined into one.
The date on
No.
the top is 10/15/2022.
Correct. All right. And on the police report, trying to find the right page. Did you see the page, Mr. Chadwick?
which exhibit is that?
All right. I'm looking at the actual things, not the exhibit list. So,
So at the bottom of the 3rd page of the document, it says page 1 of 2.
okay. All right. And it says the dog was not dangerous, but that's,
So I haven't changed the exhibit on my laptop screen here. It's still what I believe was admitted as Exhibit 7.
okay.
Or-
So, okay. All right. Got it.
And on page 3 of that exhibit is the main narrative from the officer, Alec Lynn from Iona Department of Public Safety.
Correct. Got it.
So, Ms. Wright, is there a question about that report for Tyler?
My question was, just reviewing it, what it states about the dog's demeanor, about him being about her being aggressive or not aggressive at that point.
I don't see anything about there.
I'm not seeing about
I'm sorry,
anything
then
about,
I'll try to look through it. I'm sorry, I can't see it to see what where it's at in that report. But moving on from that, I guess, Tyler, do you remember how Savannah described what happened when she got bit?
She said she was playing with a dog and the dog bit her on the face.
That's what that's what you recall. Is it not true that the dog was sleeping and Savannah started to play with it while the dog was
No.
sleeping?
No, that's not true at all.
I guess I don't know how to respond to that.
She said she was playing with
What-
the dog and the dog bit her on the face.
As the dog was sleeping, and
Actually, that was your,
she
that,
got in the dog's face.
that
and
was
she
your
reacted.
explanation over the phone as well. You said that she was
Okay.
playing with the dog. You were upstairs. Matt was downstairs. You were upstairs and you had to run downstairs. Matt was downstairs. That was
And
what
that
you told me on the phone.
And that
as-
the dog was sleeping and Savannah
No,
was trying to
No,
play
that
with
is
it.
not true. The dog was not sleeping.
I'm trying to see in the report where it says something like that.
Yeah, when Vanna went and got her stitches following that,
Actually, in the report, it says Savannah was playing nosy with the dog and the dog bit her in the face.
she got nose
Something about her
she got
sleeping.
nose to nose with a sleeping dog.
Oh, it does not say that.
So she got nose to nose with a dog. Can you point out on the page of the report where it says it's a sleeping dog?
I'm sorry, I don't know that it says sleeping on there. I'm just making sure.
Yeah,
you
I'm
look
not
at
sure
that.
it does. I'm not sure it does.
It
And
does-
I'm not seeing that it does.
It doesn't say anything about a sleeping dog. No.
When Vanna describes it to you, even now, she doesn't mention how the dog was sleeping and she knows she shouldn't have gotten its face.
Well, I moved to strike. That's not a question.
That's not a question at this point. Well, no, it is a question. Did Savannah ever tell you something like that? That is a question, Mr. Chadwick.
No, she did not.
I
do
will-
anything like that. Savannah's words were, I was playing with the dog and the dog bit me.
And that's what the record reflects. Do you have something in the record that says something different, ma'am? 'Cause
No, I'm just, what I'm
the
getting
court's
at
the court's not seeing it in the exhibit.
That's Sven's dog bite.
okay, what I'm saying is, I guess what I'm getting at is that Savannah knows that she shouldn't have been in the dog's face while it was sleeping, and she's voiced that to me as well, you know, as other family members of mine. So my question was if she had voiced that to Tyler as well, that she knew not to do that.
Well, she knows and what happened are two different things. In my opinion.
The question was, did she voice that to you?
No, she did not voice that to me.
Okay,
I was gonna say that's already been asked and answered. He's already said she did not.
all right.
Yep, that's the date.
I'm sorry.
Well, I'm noticing there's an exhibit 7 dog bite incident, 1, 2, 3, 4 pages that I submitted as my exhibit 4, which ends with a picture of Savannah.
Correct.
I believe
Yep.
that one was admitted. I just don't see it in my notes if that was admitted. And that incident took place 12/19/22. I'm just tagging it with the date so we
Yep.
keep it separate. The other one
Correct.
was also 4 pages.
That may be why I was a little confused because I've got them all mixed up right here.
Yeah,
They're not.
the prior dog bite incident has a date on it of 3/17/23.
No, that's not the one with Keegan. Scroll down.
That's the one with Keegan, that both dogs.
Oh, date
This-
reported 10/15/22, and I believe that one was admitted. The prior dog bite.
Okay.
incident.
The prior dog bite, that one was admitted. Is there any evidence that I was aware of that dog bite, Tyler?
Yes.
The one that happened in Belding, I think it says.
No, not that one, but the one that happened with Keegan says, I spoke with
Oh,
Holly.
yes,
at
yes, the
Frank.
one with Keegan.
Holly
That's
was
the one
aware
that,
of the incident.
yep, that's the one that should be, that both dogs had marks on them, and I'm not exactly sure exactly what the police report says, but that Karma didn't seem aggressive. Both dogs were playing with each other, like fighting with each other.
I don't think that's
The
entered
one-
into evidence. That one's
The one prior to that, though, that you're claiming that I should know about happened before I even knew of the dog.
I would move for its admission. It's just, I don't have, in my
Well-
notes, my notes have an ambiguity, and the ambiguity is the date. So there's a.
right. Well, the testimony prior was that she knew the dog was dangerous. The dog had killed, I believe, a kitten or something sometime beforehand.
Yeah.
And the testimony prior, with a several page report, indicated that she knew the dog was dangerous. Now she's cross-examining on whether she really knew the dog was dangerous or not. So let's proceed with that line of questioning.
Correct. That's kind of where I was going with before I even knew the dog. This dog bite.
And then obviously, Mr. Chadwick, I'll reserve the right to well, no, she's not the witness here. He is. So we'll have to go with his knowledge because he previously testified that she knew the dog was dangerous. So
I got
now
it
we're,
myself.
yeah, now we're questioning on whether he knew. Now we're questioning on whether he knew she knew that he knew that she knew. Now all of a sudden I'm like, okay. Whether the dog was dangerous. Because his testimony was that the dog had priorly armed another dog, killed a kitten, and then was brought into her home. And that she should never expose the kid because she knew. Now she's cross-examining on his testimony that of his belief that she knew. I think I got that straight.
Yes. I guess without.
Mr. Chadwick and I are going back through evidence class in law school from many years ago. In the back of our heads, I can just see both of us, just the wheels are clicking. All right.
I think Professor Glicksman would be shaking his head.
I think Professor Glicksman would definitely be looking at us going, good luck, guys. In any event, we're going to still elicit the testimony, and she may cross-examine because you did testify, Mr. Coleman, that you believe she knew. So this testimony is based on the fact that she's trying to elicit from you how you knew she knew.
Correct.
I think I succinctly put that. Glickman would be proud. Please proceed, Professor Glickman. Forgive me. Please proceed as best as we can, Miss Wright.
So that being said, Tyler, how do you, again, the same kind of question, like, how do you know that I, in fact, knew this dog was dangerous?
How do I know?
Yes.
I mean, common sense would tell you after it attacked the neighbor's dog.
So in that,
And let me finish. Killed your kitten because it got into the dog food. Wouldn't that be a dangerous dog and kind of give you signs to get rid of it?
I guess what kitten, Vanna just got a kitten. So I don't know what kitten you're referring to if you
That's
know
your second
something more
kitten
than
she's
I
had.
do.
What's the cross out in your yard for?
It's for it's for a cat, but not her kitten or anything like that. The one that Booker made, that cross.
So that
Am I
wasn't a
correct?
kitten at all.
I'm saying it was from a cat, but this is me asking you questions.
Yeah.
My question is like, how would I know that this dog's dangerous? You guys submitted a thing from an incident in Belding. I mean, and on that police report where both dogs had marks on them.
It killed Savannah's, I guess, cat, and it attacked the neighbor's dog.
So attacked the neighbor's dog, even though the dog that we're speaking of also had marks on it. Is that not a mutual fight between two dogs?
The police report here says that your dog instigated it.
I guess I'll have to reread that police report.
You're going to have to, because that's kind of what the court is under the assumption of at this point from testimony and exhibits, is that that dog attacked another dog. Now I'm confused as to what cat it killed.
I am I am as well. There's a Booker who previously lived with us, buried a cat in our backyard, but I'm not sure what cat we're talking about. Karma
You
killing.
told me that the cat that Karma killed the cat because it got into the dog food.
Then you know more than I do, Tyler.
Come on
No,
now.
his testimony is that you told him about this, and that's
guess-
the answer. That you
Okay.
told him
And
that this
so
dog killed a cat under your care, which
I
was the
can't-
previous testimony.
That's what he was saying. Yeah.
Yes, and
But I
that's what he's reiterating,
Do you
is that you told him this dog killed a cat a few days before it attacked your daughter.
And that is definitely not correct, but I know
But
now.
that's the testimony that is before the court, and so far that's what the exhibits kind of indicate. So if you want to cross-examine on this, please answer questions a little bit more appropriately and specifically.
Okay. I don't know how to word it.
Must have had a phantom cat or something.
Now, don't
Sorry.
go there. Yeah. Like I said, I'm just trying to elicit the best I can what happened here. But the testimony at this point has been that this dog attacked another dog, then killed a cat that was one of your cats or the child's cat a few days before the dog attacked your daughter.
I don't know if it was
So
but it was sometime prior.
that was your testimony. She's allowed to cross-examine on how you know that and what it really is, because I'm sure we're going to get more out of what she testifies to as to what happened and what cat we're talking about.
Right. So I was trying to not was
No,
when
you need to
my
question.
Right. Right now I can only question his not
Bingo.
my own statements, right?
Yeah, like I said, my problem here is I can't give you legal advice. I'm
I
trying to
know.
treat you as like an attorney, but at the same time allow for appropriate testimony to be placed before the court so the court can make a decision.
Right.
And again, like I said, Mr. Chadwick and I are sitting back, allowing to happen what needs to happen, but at the same time, both of us are getting gut punched.
Sorry.
Because we know the rules of evidence, we know how attorneys would be treated, and Mr. Chadwick has been very generous in limiting his objections to elicit testimony that's necessary just to get some information on the record. So please proceed, Ms. Wright. But man, we can't go much further.
Okay. So I know the court, having dangerous or having violent individuals around the child, that is a huge thing. Tyler, can you describe how our relationship was when we were together?
how our relationship was when we were together?
as far as violence goes.
How how violence goes?
Yeah. Was there any violence between the two of us when we were in a relationship?
We would yell back and forth if that's what you mean by violence.
I mean, well, that and physical violence.
There was no physical violence.
There was no physical violence. That's your sworn testimony that there was no physical violence. No
I never
instances of domestic violence at all.
I never put my hands on you.
That's your sworn testimony.
All right.
That
This
you
is
never-
I'd like to remind people this is a 2013 case. You haven't been together since 2012.
I never put my hands on you.
That's what you're saying?
Remember story you wrote down on paper?
You didn't put your
All right,
hands on my
guys,
children?
again,
So,
are we talking
I'm-
about incidents that occurred in 2012 or 2013 and before?
No, we're talking about.
Are we talking
after
about any
Vanna was
physical
born.
violence that's happened in the past 13 years?
Yes.
Okay, now if it's within the past few years, let's go.
I guess not the past few. I mean, did you or did you not? Isn't it true that you put your hands on Olivia and Zachary?
No.
Who are Olivia and Zachary?
Those are my two children that, as a unit, the four of us had lived together, and he got and the three of us were victims of domestic violence.
And again, that was in when?
There's one from. I'll have to look at exactly. There's been several of them, so I'd have to
Because
look
again, this is a 2013 case.
Mm-hmm.
When would these incidents have occurred? And I
Um,
agree, whether they're egregious or not, many decisions and court orders have been entered since that time. So when were these incidents allegedly occurring?
There was one in 2015, I believe. I'll have to look at the exact. It was after Savannah was born. The
Okay.
reason why we got well, we had eventually split up was
But
because
again, the
we
previous
couldn't-
court orders took all of that into account, correct?
Which the most
Um,
recent one was last year, the year before?
So
I
I'll
believe
give
so for parenting time, but for
right.
custody,
all right,
it did not. Because when we did custody,
for history purposes, what I have to do is tell you that the court can consider some testimony of that, but some previous actions prior to previous court orders, it's presumed the previous court orders took that into account.
Oh, hold on.
I'm looking at stuff that's happened since the previous court orders, more pertinently.
what can you?
I can hear about some history though, so you're more than welcome to elicit testimony. But
Okay, I guess I'll,
the relevancy of that is thin at best. But it is relevant, so I will allow you some testimony on that.
okay, and that'll be when I do my own test.
Well, no,
I mean,
you're
I don't
doing
get to-
cross-examination. If you want to ask a couple of questions about it, you're more than welcome to.
So, Tyler,
Yeah, yes.
you're saying that you never put your hands on Zachary or Olivia.
Never once put my hands on them. You must be getting me confused.
You never pushed
Wait,
them.
before that?
So you're saying, is it not true? Is it not true that you were convicted of domestic in the past?
Can I consult my attorney on this?
I'm just gonna object.
Yeah, no. Did he plead guilty or not guilty to? That's a very relevant and pertinent question. Again, the history goes here. So there is no Fifth Amendment plea at this point. You deny to respond to it on a Fifth Amendment clause, sir. I have to advise you that the court will take that against you.
I did plead guilty, yes, but it's since been expunged off my record.
Well, okay. And when did you plead guilty?
2013. No, hold on a second. 2013.
Miss Wright, is that approximately correct?
Approximately, give or take.
Again,
that was one of them.
since
One
the
of them, I guess.
okay, let's go with
I
that
think
one. Okay,
So
let's
that
go
one's
with that
probably
one. And that's been in previous court orders and taken into account in current court orders. Correct? So he does have a history of violence against. What was the plea, sir?
It's only been one,
Okay.
and it's been since expunged off my record.
I don't care if it's expunged. What did you plead guilty to?
It was domestic violence misdemeanor
Against whom?
against Holly.
Okay.
as
Thank
well
you.
as well as my daughter.
No, it wasn't.
Therein lies the rub.
I'm not clear whether the question is whether he pled guilty or he pled something else like no contest.
What was he charged with? Let me ask the pertinent questions then. I'll take over. Against whom?
Holly, right?
Was the daughter involved?
No.
So there were no charges
I-
against the daughter.
There
I
was
mean, I apologize, not against the daughter, but on behalf of the daughter as a victim. Okay.
I
That's
guess
right.
I guess for that one specifically, I don't know if it was we're all
Okay,
speaking of
but-
the same one.
So that we're dealing with one charge right now.
One
So-
charge is
So he pled guilty
multiple
to
police
domestic violence
reports.
against you, but in 2013. And again, this case is from 2013. So I'm assuming that was
Right.
the cause of the inception of this case, more than likely. All right, you may
Haven't-
proceed.
I just guess for the record, when he initially filed for custody issues, this is the only time we're actually being heard, having the chance to be heard on custody stuff. So parenting time, yes, that has been in consideration, but not for actually change of custody. I don't think it's been, because this is the first time.
Change of custody is mostly due to current events.
Okay,
You know, most court orders, especially that are 11 years old, 12 years old, they are presumed to have taken into account all the instances that occurred then. Right now, we're
Right.
dealing with current things that are going on. So some of that has some relevance, but more pertinent is the current situation of the child and what's going on with how the parents are dealing with the situation. In other words, you know, we got problems with the kid not going to school. And on whose time? We got problems with people being involved with the kid's life that maybe should or should not be. We got problems with how you two get along. But again, this decision is in the best interest of the child currently. So yeah, past domestic violence is considered as one of the factors, but tangentially, the longer ago it was and other decisions have been made about current custody, parenting time is what's happening now. You know, I could have somebody that beat up a child 15 years ago and now the current parent beat up the child. What do you want me to deal with? What's more pertinent is the current situation, not the past situation. So what's going?
back to current, Tyler. Do you recall when I came to pick Savannah up from your house and she came to the car and you came out to crying to talk to her before we left?
When?
It's been in the past month or so. Maybe 2 months. Isn't it true that you came out of your house and you were crying when you said goodbye to her and you were apologizing
Because
to
I got after her about something.
for you got apologizing to her for the way that you were disciplining her?
Because of the way that I got after her, yes, I do. And I apologize to her for it.
And typically an apology would mean what?
What?
That I mean, why would you apologize for something?
Because I yelled at her.
But in general, why would you apologize for something?
Because I felt bad.
You felt bad, why?
Because I yelled at her.
And had it been appropriate to yell at her at that point, would you have apologized?
It was appropriate that I yelled at her, but I felt bad for it. What are we getting at here?
I guess the point that I'm making is that if I have to discipline her and I have to yell at her for something, if it's something that
All right,
needs
you're
to
not
happen-
you're not testifying, ma'am. So he disciplined her, you felt bad about how the extent of the discipline, he apologized. Let's
Right.
go on.
So the point, I guess, Tyler, isn't it true that because you apologize, obviously that's you admitting that you did something over the top to discipline her that made you feel bad enough to apologize?
No. I yelled at her and I felt bad.
Why this time did you feel bad, but other times you don't feel bad?
I do feel bad. I just don't express it that way.
So what was different about that specific time that made you cry and come out to the car and apologize and cry?
Because maybe I was feeling some sort of way that day.
But the discipline wasn't any more over the top than any other time?
I don't know.
I mean, what had she done that you yelled at her for?
Answer your question.
He again, he disciplined her. He felt bad. Next question.
I guess I'm questioning whether or not the
Answer
way
your
he
question.
apologized, the way that he apologized to her was,
I answered your question. Please move on.
Yeah, well, I've already said that. Thank you, Mr. Coleman, but I've said that. Let's face it, kids do stupid stuff. People discipline them. Sometimes you feel bad that you went a little overboard, or, you know,
I guess where I'm going with it is that she hadn't done anything silly. She hadn't done anything. He was taking his frustration out
that's
on
your
her inappropriately.
that's your opinion.
But
He dealt with things in his house just as you deal with things in your house.
So I guess that's where my
Of
question.
course, that's stepping into disciplining unless it
Right.
becomes problematic.
And I
And
guess that's kind of where, with the history of, you know, violence or being aggressive towards
there's no
the rest
history
of
of
us.
that in the file. And so far, testimony does not uphold that. You may have something from
Well, I-
2013, but other files. So, okay, unless you got something current, he disciplined, he felt bad. Next.
So when the time that Savannah was here and she didn't want to go with you, Tyler, and we had to, she called and she wanted to make a police report. Do you remember what that was for?
Oh, the day that you coached her? To say that she didn't want
No. Let's go with the answer to the question, not the day that you coached her. Answer the question.
Yeah, there is a lack of foundation. I object to the question. We need a date.
Well, let's go with a date and what allegedly happened. And that's
It would have been last year in the fall.
okay.
When Savannah had said she didn't want to go to his house because he grabbed her off the bed forcefully.
Oh,
Okay. So
Do you remember that?
yep, I remember that.
Okay. And she was interviewed. That was Savannah's recollection of whatever happened at your
Okay.
house.
What about it?
What I'm saying is, what did you tell me about that incident?
I wanted her to take a shot. I never did that. I never pulled her up off the bed forcefully.
So what did you tell me that you did?
I said I helped her get up.
You helped her get up
Yeah.
in a nice way, or because you nicely said helped her get up?
I took her by the arm and I helped her get up. I didn't wrench her up off the bed like you're trying to make it out.
I guess you'd agree that Savannah's pretty smart, right?
She's very smart.
Okay, so I guess so she would know the difference between someone being mean and grabbing her and someone just helping her up gently.
Yep, but I also know how you over exaggerate things too.
I guess we're not talking about me. The question was about Savannah. She would know the difference, correct?
Yes.
Okay. So if she's the one who said, I guess what would her reasoning be to tell me, I guess what would make sense for her to come home and tell me that daddy gently helped me up to get me in the shower?
I object. It's a statement from a child. The child's not here to testify.
I'm gonna have to uphold that objection. Ma'am?
I guess it's not I guess there's a police report that backs it up. I guess I don't understand the.
I object.
Yeah.
There's a police report
Yeah.
that's not admitted into evidence.
Well, then there are other questions to do this. So you may proceed with those questions like, well, was there an incident on this date and were the police called? Would help. Forgive me, Mr. Chadwick, I'm kind of overstepping my bounds, but at this point, I'm kind of curious as to what the hell happened. If anything.
So, was there an incident, Tyler, sometime in the fall of last year, that the police were called because Savannah did not want to go with you from my house?
Why would I come to your house and rent her off her bed?
Could you answer the
I'm
question,
sorry.
please?
Maybe I worded it wrong. She was at my house and instead of she didn't want to go with you for her parenting time with you.
No,
So we're on a completely separate incident from the previous incident.
I don't know where we're at right now.
No,
Well,
I'm asking the question, where are we, ma'am?
I was just rephrasing.
You started on something about him wrenching the child off the bed and then police were called. So are we on a
Yeah,
completely
so it's
different?
this. I just rephrased the question. It's fine.
Well, were the police called on that incident when he
Yes.
allegedly? Okay.
The police were called because he grabbed her off the bed.
No, you're not testifying. So the police
I
were
did
called.
that. That's
Sir,
what
do you
I did.
remember the police being called to your home at that point?
Wait a minute. So I
They
came
were
to
called to
your
my.
house. I came to your house and I pulled her off the bed.
That's not the
No, Tyler,
question.
That's why I was trying to.
I'm just trying to I'm trying to get things straight here. I don't know what she's talking about.
So my question was, do you remember, is it not true that Vanna did not refuse to go with you after stating that you pulled her off the bed, at which point the police were called?
No, that's not true.
So the police were called from my house.
So wait a minute.
No, that's
Did you enter her house at some parenting time exchange, sir?
no. That's not true. What happened?
I'm asking if you entered the house.
No, I did not.
Okay, so you never entered her house. So the child will
No,
be in a bed in a home.
It happened at my house. We were watching.
Okay.
TV.
So you were at your house.
Correct. And I
And were the police called on this incident?
It would have been the following Monday because I'd had her for the weekend.
Okay, so they weren't called at that time.
Correct. It would have been the following Monday. Savannah didn't refuse to go to my house. What happened is I had gotten Savannah up off the bed. I was like, I need you to take a shower before dinner. I'd ordered a pizza. She was kind of resistant. I said, come on, let's go. And I grabbed her by the hand, kind of got her up off the bed. I said, go take your shower before the pizza gets here. So I didn't want to deal with all that after she was done eating. So she got her shower, everything. Then I don't know how this all got twisted into me yanking her off the bed. But the police came to the house that following Monday at 10:15 at night and asked me about it. The police said that it was just me being a parent, but I didn't yank her off the bed. I didn't do anything like that.
So there were no charges filed.
No charges filed, nothing like that. CPS did open an investigation. They wouldn't let me see. They came to my house. I pulled in my driveway. They came to my house and we came down to my attorney's office and had a little meeting. It was me, my attorney, my mother, and the CPS agent. And after that meeting, I was able to finally go get my daughter.
Where was your
Our
daughter?
parenting time resumed is what I mean.
But it was CPS not allowing me to get my daughter. It wasn't my daughter not wanting to come. It was CPS not allowing me to
Okay.
get my daughter.
And that was approximately when?
I don't think it was last year. Yeah, it was last year.
Okay. Next, ma'am. I think
Um,
that kind of fleshes out your question.
Yeah.
So next question.
I think in your last time, Tyler, you had mentioned our new dogs, or my new dog, and Torrance's dog. And if I remember correctly, you said that Savannah was afraid of the dogs. Is that correct?
I don't recall saying that.
Okay. Have you seen Savannah's interaction with her pets?
No, because I don't hang out at your house.
Okay. So you wouldn't be able to speak on whether or not she was afraid of those animals.
No.
Okay. All right. When we had been at the doctor with Savannah, and they had suggested she go to see an endocrinologist. What was your reaction?
I asked why.
But can you elaborate on that? So after they answered your question of why,
I said why because her levels are stable from where her blood was drawn last. They're at the same exact levels than what they were just because you have diabetes.
Right.
She does.
so you said that they were stable, meaning that they had not gotten any worse, but they also had not gotten any better, correct?
At the same level that they were last time.
Right. And when you speak of the last time, is it correct to say that you're speaking of they were the same levels as they were when the doctor recommended that she go to that endocrinologist?
She only recommended that she go see an endocrinologist once.
And that was that first time.
No, it was the second time. No. It was only the first time.
It was the first time. And then the second time that they checked her levels and they were stable, meaning they had not gotten any worse, but that also meant that they had not gotten any better. Is that correct?
They were at the same spot where they were.
Correct. So you're saying they were at the same exact level as they were when the doctor
Yes.
said he could go. Okay. And were you opposed to her going to that specialist?
I was.
Can you explain why you would be opposed to doing something that is for the health of your daughter?
If her levels were at the same spot where they were, why? Pretty much for the same reason she said maybe she needs her tonsils and adenoids out when it clearly states in her file that her tonsils and adenoids are already out because the doctor doesn't pay attention. I don't think that doctor's very good at what she does.
Okay. I guess my questioning was more just
So I think the doctor's a quack.
okay. Well, and when you suggested that, sorry, what?
I answered
No,
your question.
you answered the question. Next question, ma'am.
Okay. When you've stated that in the past about disliking the doctor, and saying that, can she see a specific other doctor? What was my response?
I believe you told me no.
Is it not true that I said that's fine as long as she has a primary care doctor?
I don't know.
Okay. Do you know what health insurance Savannah has?
It's Medicaid. It's one of the ones that starts with an M last time I knew.
And who's the one who has made sure that she has health insurance?
You?
Okay.
Because you're the one that has the custody of her right now.
But I guess insurance would be
She doesn't have insurance through your work like she used to.
through my work, correct?
Yeah, because you don't have a job.
Because I'm waiting on disability. I guess the relevance that I'm just referring
You
to.
brought the question, ma'am.
What?
You brought the question.
Right.
She used to
So
have.
yes, I don't have a job right now and I'm waiting on disability. When I did have a job, and it was a shared responsibility with our daughter to make sure all these things. Who took care of that? And who?
You're the one that had custody.
Ma'am, there are previous court orders that dealt with all this. You've become disabled, you're applying for disability. We need to deal with the facts as they are. The previous court order is here to be changed. We're trying to elicit testimony in order to change it appropriately. And
Right.
Mr. Chadwick, you guys blacked out, but it looked like, well, the audio blacked out. It looked like you said something, but the court did not hear it.
I was objecting to a statement by Ms. Wright. She formed a question at the end of it, so I withdraw that objection.
Oh, okay, because you made all the and nothing came out. So I guess I've dealt with it appropriately then.
It was legally
And I guess,
Okay.
Sorry, that's it.
No, that's okay.
I guess
Sorry, you just broke up. So in any event, Miss Wright,
just
please
to
proceed.
clarify where my questioning, like why I'm asking these such questions, because I don't need, I mean, it's Tyler's motion to have a change in custody,
Mhm.
and I would rather it just stay how it is. So I guess my questioning with, you know,
Well, it ain't going to change how it is because you don't have a job anymore. So that portion is going to have to be changed because I can't order you to carry insurance because insurance by law can only be carried through an employer at a reasonable cost through that employer. You don't
Right.
have an employer anymore because you're looking for disability. So there's
Right.
some changes here that need to be dealt with by the court. I'm just
Right.
trying to find out what the appropriate changes are or if some changes aren't appropriate.
right. So I guess my questioning was like, even without it, I guess, and that's more of my own testimony, but if you'll allow it, my point was that with the job, without the job, I was still able to do these things to care for her, and like hold insurance, you know, be the one to file those things for her.
Yes. So is there a question here for this witness that's allowable for your testimony?
I think you already answered the question.
Mhm. That's what I thought, but please proceed.
You entered and again, I don't know what these exhibits were actually, if I can refer to them, a gas station picture.
Okay.
Tyler, is that correct?
Police, so we entered that. Matt driving?
I don't believe that was made. And it was admitted by the court or introduced for admission.
Yeah, I don't think that one was either. I've got many pictures here that were proposed. Many of them were not entered. So is there a question concerning something that may have been proposed, ma'am?
My question was just that how did he come to have a picture of us at the gas station? Was it that Tyler, because you and I have never met up at the gas station. So is it that people around town are told to take pictures and send them to you?
No,
So I guess how would you come into
somebody sent it to me.
having,
I didn't tell them to send it to me. They just sent it to me
I guess for what reason?
for evidence.
For evidence of what?
Matt driving. Unlicensed driver
I guess
driving.
the picture we're referring to is us stopped at a gas pump.
People aren't dumb. Huh?
What'd you say?
What did I say?
Yeah.
Wait, just wait for a question.
No, re-respond because the court didn't get it. I think that you said people aren't dumb. Is that
Yeah.
what your response was? Okay. So in other words, he was sent a picture. I'm not sure what that picture is. It's not into evidence at this time, ma'am. But obviously it's something that was in public and somebody sent him a picture from the
Right.
public
I guess-
domain.
I guess the bigger question is, or the more broad question is, do you, and please don't take this the wrong way, Tyler, I'm just genuinely curious. Do you ask these people for
No, I don't.
pictures and stuff with us out and about, or is it like,
I think he answered that one. He's not
Right.
asked for them. They were sent to him. And I guess there's generic concerns from previous testimony and current testimony that somebody shouldn't be driving, and maybe they are.
right?
Because there's a lot of evidence not entered into that with this court. There's some testimony indicative of it, but no solid evidence. So, and again, the picture you're questioning is not into evidence, so I
Okay.
have no idea about it. Had
All
you
right.
not brought it up, I would have never.
Well, that's that's why I didn't know if it was even entered. If it was
I
just a
don't look at
closed thing.
anything until it's entered.
Gotcha.
Said that many, many times. But if you bring it up, you may throw some concern about it into evidence.
Okay.
All right. Are we about done with cross-examination? Because we've got 1
Yeah.
minute left to go.
Yeah, I don't think I have.
All right. Mr. Chadwick, I'm sure you have more re-examination on this one at this point. My clerk throws in what she needs to throw in to fit everybody in. I still do 30 to 70 hearings a week. We try to get
Okay.
you all in, and we try to move you along as quickly as possible. 18 different departments have my schedule and control my life, along with my clerk. So we just get done what we can as soon as possible. I wish this were like TV. I wish I could give you 3 or 4 straight days, but with 30 to 70 hearings a week, I'm afraid that's not possible. All righty. Take care, everybody. Please stay safe until then and enjoy the summer as best as you can.
All right. Thank you.
And hopefully I'll get you a decision as soon as possible. All right.
right.
Take care, everybody.
Thank you.